Flowcharts in a WinAD project can be used like all other types of diagrams. They can be linked to other diagrams. There can be associated dictionary entries assigned to the various nodes and connection lines on a flowchart. They can be linked to requirements. A flowchart is created within a state model document, and you can have as many different diagrams as needed, as shown in the contents view of that document type. There's a few default options you want to set up when creating flowcharts. For example, from the option menu, we can see under the method, we have flowchart selected in this state model document. And also on the preferences dialog, we're going to want to make sure that on the advanced panel, we have this checkbox unchecked and we've selected double click action for the diagram object to present the property dialog. So once we've set that up, you'll be able to draw your flowchart from the palette of tools at the right, where a flowchart consists of named nodes, and the nodes are created with the state tool, and then connecting lines created with the transition tool. You'll probably also want to have a grid structure to your flowchart, and you can turn on and off the grid with the Show Grid Lines command from the diagram menu. Let's look at the mechanics of how to get started creating flowcharts. First of all, decide if that flowchart is going to be part of a larger project. If so, you'll probably want to create a new project folder where you can name the project folder and then select various kinds of documents like your data dictionary document, your flowchart document, which is a type of state model, and other types of documents or maybe data dictionary or requirements that go along with this project. And then you'll just generate that whole batch of documents and you'll open and close all these project documents in one go. We're going to start with something a little simpler though. We're just going to create a simple state document and set it up with one or more structure charts. So we'll do that by just clicking on the New Document button, and we're going to choose State Model. It's going to pop up, and we're going to give the name to the first diagram that we're going to create within this document. We'll just call it Chart 1. And when you open up a new state document, it comes up with a table window and a diagram window. And for creating these simple flowcharts, we only need the diagram window. So what we'll do is under the options, we're going to choose Document Defaults, and we're going to select diagram window because that's the only one we want visible for this document type at the moment, and also flowchart as the method or the style of diagram that we're going to create. So after doing that, we'll click OK, and now we see we just have our simple window here for creating our flowcharts. And we are setting in our first diagram within this document, and let's look at the mechanics of actually creating a flowchart. So flowcharts are simply nodes and lines. We create nodes with the state tool. We just select the tool. We click somewhere in our diagram. We're presented with a flowchart state properties dialog where we can give a name to it. And we're going to create a simple process type node, in which it's just a box that's doing something. And we've given it a name, and we can define its border color. Let's give it a color of, let's say, maybe red, a fill color. We'll give it a really light bluish fill color. We can decide if we have shadows associated with that object on the diagram, or where the text is located within the border box and how big the border is. We can apply icons to it if we wish. There's basically a whole terminology or symbology associated with kind of basic flowcharts, and the process is kind of the main type of node that we use. But there's also other types of nodes like decisions and documents and input and output type nodes for doing different kinds of things. So we're going to start with this, and you see we have a box on our diagram representing the process of doing something. Let's select this box and make it a little bit wider here so we can kind of display the text out nice. And we're going to add another node. In this case, we're going to add a node that actually makes some kind of a decision. So we'll again select our state tool, click on the diagram, and we could type something. We'll just put the word decide in there, and it'll be the decision box. And let's just change this box around a little bit where maybe we have kind of a slightly different color in the box. And we'll place that on our diagram. And now let's say we wanted to include a couple of other processes. So we're going to make a decision, and we can do this or that. So let's put a process down here. We'll give it a name. And let's clone the properties of that first process so it kind of looks the same. And so there's a process, and here's another process. And we'll clone the properties of our first process box up here. And now let's use the transition tool to draw some lines. So we're going to have a connection between those two nodes. And then we'll have a connection where if the user, we would give a more descriptive name here, obviously, but if the user decides yes, we're going to go down this path. And if the user decides no, we're going to go down this path. And then we can go and move things around, adjust things as needed. But we see the basics here of the diagram that we're starting to construct. So as we construct this diagram, if we need additional diagrams, we can just click on the plus and then create another chart and so on. And then we can navigate back and forth in our contents view between these charts. If we have a chart that we've kind of completed, we don't want to be making any additional changes intentionally or accidentally. We can kind of lock it so it's kind of frozen in place now. It's not going to get messed up by just accidentally clicking on something, or unlock it if we need to edit it again. So that's kind of the basics of getting started with creating a flowchart that might be part of a larger project associated with other types of diagrams and dictionary and requirements information, or just some stack of standalone flowcharts for modeling basically any kind of software process or any kind of business process, anything you'd want to model really, where you have different nodes, starting points, ending points, and decisions and paths through that process. Some mechanics of drawing a flowchart are just like any other type of diagram. You'll select a tool, click somewhere on the diagram, you'll be presented with a properties dialog, you'll give it some kind of a name, and then you'll have the object on the diagram, and from there you can resize it by grabbing a vertice point on one of the edges and move it around by press, dragging, and release. If you want to get rid of it, you can just press the delete key. If you merge your diagram into a data dictionary, you can have associated dictionary entries for all the various nodes on the diagram. And that gives you other capabilities like linking to other types of documents. For example, you might want to right-click on a node, and then this document links command will be enabled if you have an associated dictionary with your document, with your flowchart document. And that will allow you to bring up a dialog and then link to other types of documents, like maybe a Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word or a PDF file or whatever. So all the various nodes in your diagrams can be linked to other associated documents for whatever type of process you're trying to express with this flowchart. Other standard things, just like other types of diagrams within WinAD, you'll be able to, for example, scale your diagram. So right now it's 100% scale. We could show it at 50%, or perhaps we want to show it at 125%. We might want to change the drawing surface area. Let's go back to 100% on our scale and make our drawing a little bit bigger here. We see we have just kind of one page size right now, but we can bring up our diagram parameters, and let's make it 2 pages wide or X pages vertically. We can change the paper size and so on. So now we have more space for drawing our diagram. We might decide we want to get information from our diagram into another document, so we can just select a portion of that information and we can copy. We could also take and do a generate image from clipboard to various file formats, and it prompts us for the name and stores the information out to some kind of an image file. Or we could create an image file from the entire diagram out to various formats. So a variety of different things you can do with flowcharts, just like all the other diagram types within WinAD.